everyone, and welcome to another interview for Extraordinary Latinas. I'm your host, Ileana Rojas, and today I'm excited and grateful to welcome Cynthia Ruiz. Cynthia, you are a professor, a best-selling author, an executive coach, an inspirational leader, and leadership expert. You have received 75 accolades and awards for your leadership and service to the city of Los Angeles. Oops, this just changed. Oh, there we go. You're a Latina influencer who is passionate about teaching others to rise to their power, and you lean on your Cherokee values to inspire and share lessons you have learned from your ancestors. You enjoy a passion for life and an appreciation of the gifts of Mother Nature, and live your vision to do your part to create a world where there is more love, compassion, integrity, and tolerance for the benefit of future generations. You are an inspiring and extraordinary Latina, and it's such an honor to have you here.
Well, thank you so much. And first of all, I have to say, what an honor it is to be here and to be a part of this amazing transformational program where we're inspiring others. And I want to thank you for your leadership and bringing us all together. I am truly blessed and grateful.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to start by asking you to share with us your story. Where did it all begin?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And where it began is I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I come from the inner city of Los Angeles. So I come from two backgrounds. My dad was Mexican. Our family came from Mexico around 100 years ago. And then on my mom's side, I'm Native American Cherokee, and I'm a registered citizen of the Cherokee Nation. The Cherokees, we're the largest tribe in the United States, and we have over 390,000 tribal citizens. So I grew up in an environment filled with negativity, gangs, and drugs. My parents divorced when I was only 7 years old. So my mom had never worked in her life. She had 4 children, so she actually got on welfare. But she used welfare the way I think it should be, as a temporary fix. So she went and got some education and started a job. And then she worked for the County of Los Angeles her entire career as the Native American liaison to the Native American community here in Los Angeles. So I kind of grew up in that community. So seeing my mom struggle and seeing all the difficulties that she had starting from scratch, it really inspired me to want something better for my life. And I was the first person in my family to go to college, and my parents didn't have any money to actually help me, so I did everything on my own. So I graduated high school when I was 17, and I received my master's degree by the time I was 23. Now, anytime you live in an environment that's filled with a lot of negativity, you face challenges. So I've had some severe challenges in my life. For example, when I was 17 years old, I was violently raped, and it was something that I didn't tell anybody. I kept it inside and buried it. So it's something that I've healed through, and I'm very passionate about helping other people heal from sexual trauma, because in the Latino community and Native American community, a large percentage of both men and women are sexually traumatized. So I overcame that. And so when I got to college, the first thing I did was I didn't feel safe because what had happened. So I got a boyfriend and basically married the first guy that came along, hoping to feel safe. Unfortunately, that didn't work out very well because then he's Latino. He became physically abusive. So here I have all this trauma inside me that I'm experiencing, but on the outside, I was a dedicated student and put all my energy into my schoolwork. And that's why I was able to get my master's by the time I was 23. And I was really motivated to help others. I always wanted to be a counselor, get my master's in counseling, and really motivated to help others. So fast forward, I married, and believe it or not, I stayed in the marriage, but I had a son. And once I had my son, I actually got accepted into a PhD program in psychology. But at that point, like many women, and in particular Latinas, I had to make a decision. By that time, I had my son, I had started my own counseling business, and I was married. And so I only had 24 hours in a day. So I made a decision in my life at that time to drop out of the PhD program. So yes, I'm a PhD dropout, but I don't have any regrets, because what I did is focus my energy on my business, and I was able to build that business to $1 million a year business, and focus my energy on my son, who is now grown, and he's the head stylist for Nickelodeon. So I made investments in my business and my family. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't work out, but I'm actually happy about that. I stayed longer than I should have. So fast forward, when I came out of the marriage, because it was a physical and verbal abusive relationship, I had no self-esteem. My self-esteem was zero. So that really started my spiritual journey. So I believe that every challenge that we have in life, there's a lesson behind it. So I faced a lot of adversity in my life, but I don't regret any of it, because it's made me the strong, independent woman that I am. I've been very fortunate in my career. I've held executive positions. I was an executive at the Port of Los Angeles. I was an executive for Public Works for the city of LA, running a department of 6,000 employees and just under $1 billion a year budget. And today I serve as president of the City of Los Angeles Pension Fund, and I oversee $22 billion worth of investments. So I like to say my life is a living example of how anything is possible. I literally started off on welfare, and now people trust me to oversee $22 billion worth of investments. So, through hard work, perseverance, dedication, and having my spiritual journey, I've been able to live a life where today I am happy, healthy, and dedicated to serving others. And that's my story.
Oh my God. Like, I don't even know where to start. It's so inspiring, so powerful. Definitely, like you say, it's an example of of resilience, right? Like, how do you keep yourself picking up from any adversity? And through all those different challenges, especially in the younger years, how do you find the energy or the courage to overcome and to move forward when you think that there's nothing?
Well, for me, it's tapping into my faith. Now, I am spiritual, and I get that from my Cherokee side. I'm not necessarily religious. I don't attach myself to any one religion, but I do believe in the Creator. I use the term God. I do believe that having faith in something bigger than ourselves really helps me have perspective, because everybody in life has challenges. I don't care who you are. And a lot of the challenges create emotional baggage. And the emotional baggage shows up in our life as anger, resentment, guilt, shame, insecurity. So it's about doing the work to really release that baggage so you're happy and healthy. And for me, what I did during the most challenging times is turn within and have a belief in myself that I'm here for a reason and that I will get through this, and understanding that everything in life, including life, is temporary.
So, such important words of wisdom. Through this time, in addition to turning into yourself, to your beliefs, did you have somebody or many people like mentors or people that you were inspired that helped you along the way?
Well, unfortunately, I did not have a lot of mentors. So what I did is I turned to self-help. So I listened to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books and really got myself into that positive mindset. People like Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Don Miguel Ruiz. So it helped me really develop my spiritual foundation and that self-help. And for me, I always looked up to so many of these people that were trailblazers in self-help. And then that helped me develop my spiritual practice, which I do every day. I have 3 things I do every day. First thing, I start off with my gratitude list. And I wake up and I'm just grateful to be alive. So when I start my day with that attitude of gratitude, it helps me set the tone of the day. I live in Los Angeles, where we're probably the homeless capital of the world. So I'm grateful to have a bed to sleep in. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. So I start with gratitude. And then throughout the day, I pray and I meditate. I like to say that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening. So those 3 things, having that practice in my life, helps me stay grounded and realize that you find happiness and peace from within, not externally. So many people rely on external factors for happiness, whether it be other people, cars, houses, all that material things. That doesn't make you happy. I know a lot of people that have a lot of money that are unhappy. So it's about really having that inner peace and realizing that happiness is a choice. And I choose happiness every day, and it helps me gain perspective. And no matter what challenge is coming my way, I can get through it.
I love that, and I'm going to use it as a quote because I think it's so important to become conscious that everything that we do is our choice. And I don't think we're that conscious every day. Uh, you mentioned through your story that you've basically carved your way through. However, without having a lot of people to look up to or that could show you a path of what could be, how did you go to know what to study in college, or that you wanted a master's or a PhD? Like, I talk to so many young people today that they really don't know what to do. So were you able to find like all those paths?
Well, it's a combination because part of me, I'm a goal setter and I'm a go-getter, but part of it you have to balance out and let things happen organically. So it's that delicate balance. But for me, I always wanted to help people. I've always had that passion. When I was in high school, I actually got an award for like 200 hours of volunteer service. So it felt good to me. So when people say, what should I do? I said, find out what you enjoy and what you like and follow that. And that's one of the reasons why my initial goal was to get a PhD in psychology. But looking back, I'm kind of glad I didn't take that path because I didn't really want to work with people with severe mental health issues. I like just helping people live their true, authentic life. So I kept moving forward. It's like, even if you're not sure, just keep taking another step forward. Unfortunately, in my situation, it was very difficult because I didn't have a lot of help or support. So I am very passionate about turning around and helping others now. I help a lot of people. Today, I'm an executive coach, And so my business practice is that for every 5 paid clients, I do a pro bono, and it's usually a young Latina or Latino or a young Native American that needs mentorship and coaching. And that's my way of giving back. I really give back because I know how difficult it was to not have that guidance.
Wow, that is so incredible. Thank you for sharing and for what you do. I think it's so important. Through oh my God, I'm blanking on my, oh yes, you've been such a powerful voice for others throughout your career, and also for yourself. But how have you managed to not lose your authentic voice in the noise of everybody else?
Well, for me, because for example, when I was president of Public Works, where it was controversy every day, challenges every day, I made a conscious decision that if I made decisions based on my core values, I would never make a bad decision for me. So I, at that point, followed what I called, and I don't know if anybody else is using it, but I called it value-driven leadership, because every decision I made, there was going to be somebody that wasn't happy. I remember one of my friends telling me, he goes, Cynthia, you're in charge of 6,000 people. Do you realize statistically 10% of those people are not going to like you? I'm like, oh my God, 600 people are not going to like me. But then I said, this is not a popularity contest. This is a responsibility. So I have to make decisions that I'm comfortable and I could sleep at night. And if I make those based on my core values, and my core values are simple: integrity, humility, collaboration. So when you make decision based from that point of view, it's much easier. You know, in my life, I've been a trailblazer many, many times. First Latina to be president of Public Works, first Latina Native American to be president of the pension board. And it hasn't always been easy, because when you're a trailblazer and you're the first one in the door, it's a lot of responsibility. When I was running the Public Works department, and remember, Public Works is street, sewers, building the buildings, I was mainly with men. So there would be many times I could be in a meeting with 30 men and myself, and I was the boss, and I could see them roll their eyes. You know, like they weren't really happy with my decisions, but I was very democratic about it. I would go around the room. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Got everybody's opinion, but then I wasn't afraid to say, bam, this is my decision. And they'd look at me and say, well, we've never done it that way before. So I'd have to say that I understand that. Try it my way, and if it doesn't work, we'll go back to your way. And then they'd come back later and say, oh, it worked. So, you know, when you're a trailblazer, you have to be strong, you have to be confident, and you have to have thick skin, because you can't let everybody's dislike of your decisions, or even not even decisions. It's like they didn't like the fact that I was a woman, they didn't like the fact that I was Latina, and I was the boss. So I got challenged a lot, but it made me that much more prepared in meetings. I had to be on my A game every single day. And where I started from, making decisions from my values, I felt confident and comfortable.
Wow. You talk a lot about all the things that you do and all the different hats that you wear, which I feel like it's an image or a reflection of many of us that wear a lot of hats. How do you balance it all?
Well, the reality is that, you know, balance, even in relationships, is there really such a thing as 50-50 balance? It's about ebbs and flows. And at some point in my life, maybe my family was taking more of my attention. Then the work took it more. So it's about the flow of life. There's never a perfect 50-50 balance, but it's about setting priorities. And what I have learned over the years is, and we are guilty of this as Latinas, we make everybody else a priority and we forget about ourselves. So it's about including ourselves as a priority, because for some reason, Latinas in particular, they start feeling guilty if they do something for themselves. And I like to say, no, you have to take care of yourself. Self-care is so important because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to have anything to give. The analogy I like to use is when you're traveling on a plane and they're doing the safety briefing and the oxygen mask comes down and the flight attendant says, if you're traveling with a small child and the oxygen mask come down, put it on yourself first. Because what do we normally do? We put it on the kid first. Well, then what happens? If we perish, then who's going to take care of the kid? So the balance is about balancing everything you have in life, but including yourself in that balance so you're healthy and happy. I make a commitment to myself to eat healthy, to exercise, to really take care of myself, mind, body, and spirit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because it's beautiful advice. You talk a lot about looking back at your life, how despite everything that you've gone through, you have no regrets. However, what advice would you give either your younger self or other Latinas based on your journey?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is what transformed my life, to be honest, is learning the power of forgiveness. Now, forgiveness comes in two forms. Yes, forgiving others for things that they may have done to you, but also forgiving yourself. As I mentioned, I was sexually traumatized and I carried that and buried that, and I forgave the perpetrator a long time ago, but it wasn't really until I forgave myself that I became free. So young Latinas, don't be so hard on yourself. Nobody is perfect. The key is, as you go through life, learn lessons from the challenges. Don't keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. But most importantly, believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
So important. For self-care, you mentioned how important self-care is to you and how important it should be to all of us. Any tips in terms of self-care?
Absolutely, because what I hear from a lot of women is that I don't have enough time in my day. How can I even care for myself? And, you have to, make adjustments to where you're at, what stage you're at in your life. But self-care can simply be going out for a walk instead of sitting there. And a lot of people sit there at lunchtime and gossip. I never did that. I would take a walk and go outside and take in some fresh air and really kind of, calm my mind. I actually am a big person of meditation. And so I developed on my own. I have 3 meditations, a 3-minute, a 5-minute, and a 10-minute guided meditation. So I tell people, if you have 3 minutes a day, you can meditate. You can start small. So, and I mean, everybody has the choice to eat healthy. I mean, obviously if you're a parent, you want your kids to eat healthy too, not just junk food all the time. So there's so many small ways that you can incorporate self-care into your daily life. It all starts by making a commitment to yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and so honored for everything that you've shared here with us today. Any final words?
My final thought to everybody out there, anything is possible. Anything. First of all, you have to believe it's possible. You have to do the work and never give up. People, like, oh, it didn't happen when I wanted it to happen, they give up. You never know. Success is right around the corner. You just have to keep going.
Thank you so much for the time today. I feel like we could go on for another half hour with more questions. It's always so inspiring to hear from you. And I thank you so much for your time, for sharing your story, for being such an inspiration and an extraordinary Latina. Cynthia, I couldn't be more grateful and honored to have you here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it's been my pleasure.
Goodbye.
Bye.